So let's start with Black Monday, though, and I'm so glad you're on for this.
Because you're the guy to talk to right now.
Because the Jacksonville Jaguars, they fired Doug Peterson, keep Trent Baalke, but then did you see the clip of Shad Khan and Trent Baalke where Shad Khan's asked if one of the head coaching candidates that you like wants changes made to the front office, would you be open to that? And with Trent Baalke on the Zoom, he says, yes, we would. So if someone wants the job but wants a different GM, Trent Baalke still could be fired. What the heck's going on here, Jackson?
All right. And before that all came out, I had reached out to somebody in the organization, and what I was told was the coach will now have the major juice in the building. And they've said that in the past, but now I think it's to the point where that coach comes in, it's his power. And it should be. And in that scenario, if it's his power, then he should be able to make the decision on who he wants as the general manager. And I think that's why guys that they say, oh, I might not interview for that job, go interview for it.
Yeah.
And Exhibit A is Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Johnson supposedly wants that job. That was the one he was eyeing all along. He's from North Carolina. He's, it's a small town, a small town feel to it. Jacksonville has that same feel. Jacksonville has there's no state income tax. They have an owner that doesn't meddle. He kept that guy there for how long? Trent Baalke's been there for how long?
Yeah.
So you have a quarterback who you can make Jared Goff, same type of guy. You can do that with him. And so I think Ben Johnson's drawn to that. Well, go interview there and go in there and tell him, look, I have other options as well, but this is what I want here. Because he's supposedly the guy that he's linked to is the guy in DC that was with the Lions for many years. Was it Ryan Newmark? His name is. And I did some checking around on him. That guy worked with Bobby Beathard back. That's where you got to start. Bobby Beathard's one of the legendary football scouts in this history of this league. He's come up through the ranks. So go in there and say, look, I don't want him. I want him. If you want me, that's the conditions. And I think that's the way you get a guy like that.
Don't settle.
No.
Go in there and be like, this is the plan. If you don't want this, then I'm out.
Correct. And here's the other thing about Baalke. Baalke can go find people to interview. I don't think Shad Khan's good at that. He needs somebody. So I think he's using him as part of the process. Where the reality should be, he should get rid of him and get Tony Baselli to help him with the process.
Yes.
Rick Spielman.
Yeah.
Third team.
Every football team should have a great offensive lineman be a big part of the construction of the roster. I really feel that way.
Well, I mean,
and Tony Baselli, who's better than Tony Baselli?
I mean,
he's the Jaguar.
He's him. He's that guy. And there's been pushback against him in the past, but I think now would be the right time. And I do that show with Baselli on Mondays and in Jacksonville. And last night I was killing Baalke on the show. It's on their airways, but that's part of my deal. I can say whatever the hell, and I was killing him. And Tony was pushing back a little bit on me. And I told him, I said, wait a second here. All of a sudden, who's in that body? What do they do? They threaten to take down you out of the Ring of Honor if you didn't do it?
He buttoned up his shirt a little bit.
So I'm giving him crap up. But again, Baalke should have been out. He's not out. And it's just, I think, part of the mechanism of trying to find the right guy.
The underrated thing about Baalke's disastrousness as GM is not only are they not good right now, they're not in a good cap spot either. It's not like they're not good and have a bunch of money to play with. They have some like
$40 million, but they can get rid of some of that. Like there's money to get rid of.
But that's the thing is like they need to get rid of some. They have guys who have like big inflated numbers on that roster.
But I'll give you
what they have. They have a great tackle duo right now. I think Walker Little and Anton Harrison, with the trajectory Anton Harrison's gone, and with trajectory Walker Little played awesome at the end of the season.
That's the Stanford guy.
Yeah, he played after he got his contract extension. He played really well for three games before he got hurt again.
So you have
good tackles,
starting tackles that should be there for the next 5 years.
Correct,
realistically, and a franchise quarterback. That is
and
like
a real winner,
and a star wide receiver, the number one star wide receiver,
and a true stud number one wide receiver. That's like if you're an OC and can't make magic with that.
But if you look at him and what he's done, this will be if he actually hires the coach, it's the third coach. Guys don't get three coaches.
No.
He also now will be picking in the top 5 for the third time in 5 years, and 2 of those were number 1 overall. That you shouldn't be in this predicament. Then he gave him a boatload of money to spend on free agency last year. This is what he did. Gabe Davis.
Eric Armstead,
who now came out yesterday and said,
he wants to play D tackle again.
But supposedly he said he wanted to play end in the first place.
Yeah,
And
experiment.
okay, didn't do much. Then Ronald Darby, who got benched for a journeyman in Monteric Brown, Darnell Savage, who he brought in to play nickel, which was terrible to begin with, and he ended up playing safety. So he blew it. And then, you can go back and say, you could really go back and evaluate the year they picked Trayvon Walker. He should have taken Hutchinson. We know that now. Trayvon Walker's a good football player.
I knew it then, but yeah.
Trayvon Walker's a good Trayvon Walker's a good football player.
Yeah.
He's just not that sudden dynamic edge rusher. So then he comes back and he trades back in to get Devin Lloyd, who can play the run, has no earthly idea what the hell he's doing against the pass. Then he had already signed a linebacker in free agency, Aluakon. Then he drafts Muma.
Top of the third round.
Right.
664.
How many linebackers he comes back this year and he drafts last year he drafts Ventrell Miller, who ends up playing this year. I mean, it's just
he's addicted to linebackers.
He just compounds his problems and he doesn't get out from underneath them. And luckily, look, if they loved Brian Thomas so much last year, they wouldn't have traded down 3 times. They would have just took him.
Yeah.
They got lucky.
So wild.
So
wild.
Ben Johnson, come on down.
That's who it should be.
Come on down.